Hello, happy Thursday morning. So we're continuing on our journey of learning new ways of knitting. And today I discovered a new way that I'd never heard of before, and I find it quite interesting and may incorporate it into the way I knit. This is a variation on continental knitting. And if you remember, continental knitting is where you hold the yarn in your left hand and pick the new stitches out with your right hand into the new, or into the old stitch, and you pick out the new stitch, okay? But if you remember, when I showed you how to do the purl stitch with continental knitting, we had to move our forefinger down in order to get that stitch to be a purled stitch. You had the working yarn in the front. But with this new way of knitting, the knit stitch is the same, but the purl stitch is a little bit different. This is called Norwegian purling. So let me move my camera over to my little handy dandy camera holder, and I will show you this way of purling. It's quite different, and I think it might be a little bit more comfortable to do. So let's see if we can do this here. Okay, so here's my work. I'm about to do a row of knitting, but I'm going to show you knitting and purling. Knitting, like I said, is exactly the same as continental. So you just pull that new stitch out of the old stitch, like that. So you've got your old stitch, you're pulling it apart, grabbing the working yarn and pulling it through the old stitch and letting the old stitch fall off. So that's knitting, okay? Now, if I wanted to do a purl, and I didn't want to have to bring the yarn forward to do a purl like this, for regular continental knitting, okay, there's a knit stitch, there's a purl stitch, okay, see how I'm moving the yarn back and forth? For Norwegian style, here's the knit, same as before, and then for Norwegian style knit, you just catch the working yarn, almost like a yarn over. You catch the yarn with your right hand, then you put it into the stitch as if, you know, like you normally do when you're doing a purl, so from the right hand side to the left. And then you move this right hand needle back to the back, scoop up that yarn, and pull it through that stitch. What? That is so weird and cool and fun and crazy. And I'm not moving this finger down, so it's not like falling off sometimes, which happens sometimes when I'm purling. It'll slip right off that finger because it's staying up here. So I'm going to do that again. So I scoop up the right hand yarn with my right hand, or I scoop up the working yarn with my right hand needle, slip the right hand needle into the stitch that I'm going to purl, move it back, move it back and scoop up that working yarn again, okay, and then push it back to get that purl stitch. See that? And it's lying in the right direction because whenever I'm knitting, I make sure my stitches are lying in the right direction so that the right hand side of the stitch is coming over the front and the left hand side of the stitch is going in the back. You see that? The stitch is coming from this side, going over the front of my needle, through the back of my needle, and then coming out this way. And they all are lying in the correct direction on my needle. All right, let's show you that Norwegian purl again. So instead of moving my finger forward like I would normally in continental knitting, I leave my working yarn in the back, but I scoop up that working yarn with my right needle, then put my needle into the stitch to purl, then move it to the back to scoop up that yarn, come back to the front and push it to the back, slip it through the back. Okay, it's like an extra little bit of motion, but since I'm not having to move my finger back and forth, I think it's going to work out nicely. Let me do it again. So scoop up the working yarn with your right hand needle, put it through so you can purl, go to the back and scoop it up again and come through pushing it back so you have a purl stitch. Ooh, I'm so excited about this new way of purling. I think it's going to be really fun. And I think I might practice it as I am doing some ribbing work, because this works really nice for ribbing, so you don't have to keep moving this finger back and forth. See how that's knit and then purl, scoop it up, push it back. Knit and then scoop it again, push it back. I'm liking this a lot. What do you guys think? Leave a comment and let me know what you think about this Norwegian type purling. If you like it, if you think it's too different for you, if you think you'd like to try it. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.